Welcome to Comedians After Hours with your hosts Willis and Vere.
Do you want a Rennie? Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm always
Are we recording this bit?
Again, this is all an exclusive for you lot.
Never leave the house without a packet of Rennies, thank you.
Whoa, it's worked. That's good.
We don't know
Give
yet.
him the packet back, I think. Don't, eat more. Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
All right. Have you got any questions before we start? You all right?
Are we safe?
That's a train.
Oh, right.
I think this has been here a long time.
I
think
thought we
we're
were in a snooker table. All right, good to know.
We're okay, right.
Was that going to be an issue for a podcast recording?
Probably.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know what we can do now.
Well, interesting venue choice is all I'd say.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Hello, I'm Adam Willis.
I'm George Vere.
And I'm Ian Coulter.
And welcome to Comedians After Hours. Today's guest is Rhys James. Rapturous applause.
Hello.
Very rapturous. Hello.
How are you doing?
Wow.
Is that what we're
Dead
starting
silence.
with? Hello.
What do you want to start
to,
with?
it's weird to be podcast host when you've never had a conversation before, isn't it?
It is a bit strange. It is a bit strange. Well, I feel we're very far away from you
We
as
are
well.
quite far
I don't
away,
think
yeah.
that was going to get across on the podcast. We're about 2 meters.
We're not used to doing it in a room so wide. Normal, because we've done lots at the Fringe in a theatre that's about a third of the size of this. It's not even a theatre, is it? It's a shed they build every year at the underbelly. Yeah, tiny.
Right.
So this is luxury.
So
for
you're
us.
really making the most of the space.
Yes.
Put some distance between us.
Yes.
We've managed to fit everyone on the front row, so they can feel very immediate to the show. But we managed to sit very far back from them.
Yeah. Perfect.
It was also in Rhys's contract that he can't actually sit that close to us. So
No,
This is all.
no, but that's because I haven't showered today.
Oh, it's for us.
I didn't want to feel the pressure of washing, so
Oh, brilliant. So, how's it going? What's going on with you at the moment?
it's quite a vague
Straight in.
question, isn't it?
Yes.
Well,
There'll be more of them to come.
I've got one Rennie less than I had 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Not much. The answer is not much. I feel a bit hungover. That's why I've got a can of Coke with me. I'm trying to get
Coca-Cola?
sponsorship for this podcast. Coca-Cola, the thinking man's Pepsi. I don't know.
We've tried for years to get sponsorship. If you can get sponsorship just from saying it once, I mean, brilliant. We'll give you half of it.
I thought, to be honest, I think I've shot a bit high there, going for Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
the biggest company in the world. Apple buy iPhones.
Brilliant.
Will that work?
We're going to be loaded.
Do just start Rennie.
I don't think it matters if you do it.
For if
It
you just
matters-
had a big curry.
Like, I'm not worth
Rhys
anything.
James has some sort of following, whereas you don't. So you can say whatever you want. You're not going to get shit.
Yeah. That's one thing I did think coming into this. Is how you're 27?
27 is correct.
You're a lot more successful than me, and I find that's very upsetting.
Yeah.
It also
That's
doesn't
me.
look like you've worked. Yeah.
Both true, yeah. What do you want to say? Yeah, the answer is yes.
What's it like when you go back to where you're from? Has it changed the way people treat you?
No, not at all. Although, actually, no, it has a bit. Only in the last year or so, people have started asking me if I'll write best man speeches for them. Genuinely, people I went sort of went to school with, who maybe people who sort of bullied me a bit at school, and I was saying, "Do you mind looking over this best man speech for my brother?"
Yeah.
To see if these jokes are a bit much. And I just go, yes, of course I mind. Why would I want to do that? Also, people just say to me, do you know Joel Dommett? That's it. When I go back for Christmas, all people say to me is, do you know Joel Dommett? And I just go, yeah. And they go, all right. And that's the end of the conversation.
Oh, they don't have anything to follow up with that?
No, they just,
All right.
they think he's fit or whatever.
Well, he is.
Yeah, he's fit.
I haven't got anything to say. He is.
What's it like when you go home?
No one cares. No one knows that. No one. And I live in a really small village. Or if they do care, they actively avoid me.
Right, yeah.
do you
Well,
think
maybe
they-
that's what's happening to me as well then, because no one's saying anything.
What would they do even if you were famous?
Well, say, all right, Adam, well done. Give me a pat on the back. I don't know what would I be famous for?
I don't know.
Rennie, the Rennie guy? You're in the
Right.
Rennie adverts, aren't you?
Sorry, I don't know what a Rennie is.
It's heartburn.
Is that a well-known thing? Do you know what that is? Everyone's
Yeah.
nodding. All right, fine.
I'm going to
Right.
be honest as well. I wasn't too sure. And when I took it,
That
I
could have
wasn't
been
sure
anything.
I wasn't sure whether to put it in my mouth or in my drink. And I just before the podcast, I put it in my mouth, and I could have really regretted
What did you do with it? Did you swallow it?
I put it in my mouth for a bit,
It's fascinating.
let it dissolve a bit. Then I got bored. I chewed it.
Yeah, you're meant to
then I
chew
had a
it.
bit of a
You are
water.
meant to chew it.
Do you have heartburn, Adam? Is
No.
that the problem? Right.
It's Ian. Ian's cropped up, all right, Ian?
Right.
You all right?
I'm just wondering why you took the Rennie if you didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to do, innit? Something to fill the time.
Yeah, we've got an audience. We have to perform.
Yeah, that is it. That is the pressure of a live audience. Sometimes when there's a live audience there, you will eat a Rennie and you don't know what it is. That's just the way the business works.
I'm going to drink some water. Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah. You said you were bullied at school.
Yeah, I was... to be honest, I was exaggerating.
Yeah. See, I've seen from my research, I know that you were quite small.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Thank you for talking in the past tense.
That's fine. Has that had... You know, some people say that comedy is a defence mechanism. Has that had any bearing on why you think you've gotten into comedy?
Well, yeah, but it's such a basic story.
What happened?
Well, I was just like, I was so much smaller than everyone my age. And there is a very funny picture of me. Is this what you're referring to? There's a picture of me on Instagram.
Probably. I have seen a picture of you looking tiny.
Yeah. For the benefit of the listener,
What age were you when you were tiny?
I am 1 foot tall.
Very small.
I was like, when I was like 14, 15, all my mates were like, sort of had beards.
Yeah.
And were 6 foot or whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
would have still been like 5'3".
Oh, yeah.
And I was just tiny. And everyone was also really athletic, and loads of people played football like semi-professionally
Mm-hmm.
at my school at that age. And then I was just like, all right, I guess I'll have to be funny. Also, I've got massive teeth. But so I was small, but my teeth were big. But then they weren't straight. They were all over the place.
Can we just re-record that sentence and have the audience gasp a little bit?
I've got massive teeth.
So you mean it's like a surprise to
That's the first time I've opened my mouth today. Yeah. It would have meant that I definitely was trying to be funny so that I had anything to offer. But that, that's true. It wasn't like to try and stop people bullying me.
So what was the progression from there? So you were trying to make people laugh at school, and then what happened from there? Because lots of people I know went to like drama clubs and stuff, and then realised they were funny. And is that a similar sort of thing?
I did. I wanted to be. Actually, that's not true. I ran for the position of head boy of my sixth form because I am middle class, and I only ran for it because I wanted to do the speech. You got to do like a hustings and a speech, and I just thought I'll just do a funny speech about the school and stuff like that. And then I did that, and it went really well. But while I did it, I was so nervous that I did it in a complete stranger's accent, right? So I just suddenly went on, and I was like, "Hello, mate. I'm Rhys Jason." And I was just doing this weird Cockney voice while I did this speech running for head boy, and everyone afterwards was like, "That was really funny. What was why were you doing that?" And I was like, "I've got no idea." I was obviously just terrified.
Did you make head boy?
No, I didn't get it. Yeah, I know. It really is a tragic story.
They really engage the audience. They're properly like
Yeah.
responding
Oh, my
vocally.
God, wow.
Keep doing that. It sounds great.
I didn't get it, and I didn't deserve it. But I tell you who did get it, a boy called John Richardson, and his dad was the governor of the school. So, yeah, exactly.
Fuck
Exactly.
John Richardson.
This has
What
turned
a
into
load
some
of
sort of
bullshit.
stupid pantomime now, where everyone's booing and stuff.
Mate, Russians were involved. It's a load of... Cambridge Analytica was at my school, is what I'm saying.
And then, so from there, what was the...
I
carry on
actually
doing
did a gig pretty soon after that.
it? That was quite young.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why he's successful now.
I was
yeah.
I was 17. I did my first gig the week I got my braces off. That's the sort of worm I am. But
Where are we? Can you paint a picture of what it's like being a 17-year-old boy going into a comedy club?
Well, I look like I look now. I looked exactly like this. It wasn't a comedy club. It was just like an open mic night in Luton at a place called the Hat Factory. And it was a load of emo bands. Well, the audience were all 15, and they were all sat on the floor, cross-legged. And then it was... I know, it's not what I expected it to be either. And then it was all these like emo bands, and then there was one other comedian, and he was very angry. And he was just screaming about stuff, and honestly, it was like inaudible. And he didn't do well, and I thought, oh, God. And I went on, and I just...
Stolen my set.
Yeah, exactly. I remember it going well. Obviously, there's no way it can have gone well because the jokes were terrible. But I remember coming off like relieved, and then just like, well, now I'm never going to stop doing this. Although I do sort of feel like stopping doing it now. But
Really? Is that true?
no, it's just like no. But just like I used to be like, if I took a week not doing a gig, I would be going mad and like desperate to get on stage, and now I'm like more than happy to not do a gig for a month.
Yeah.
The next gig, if I come back after not doing a gig for a month, will be terrible. I'll be awful, but I'm sort of quite happy. Like over Christmas and stuff, I was just like, great. I don't have to think about jokes.
Yeah. And do you see yourself as a live performer, or are you interested in sort of the more of the you know the? I mean, lots of people go through stand up into TV work or film or something, and then perhaps do stand up again afterwards, but on a much bigger scale. Are you interested in the same sort of thing, or do you see yourself as a live performer?
At the heart of it, I see myself as a writer who has to perform. But I do like performing. I do like performing, but it's not my skill, I don't think. And I did do drama and all that sort of stuff at school, and I was like trying to always acting and stuff when I was younger, but I'm not a great actor. And I was just like, no, I like writing. And the main thing I'm into is writing, and then I have to get it out there, or it's pointless. So then I have to go and say it.
I'm right in saying you write for other comedians as well.
I used to, yeah.
You used to. How does that compare to writing for writing your own material?
Well, it compares because, and this is so unprofessional, the
Great.
quality control is appalling when you're writing for someone else, because you don't have to say it, so you don't give a shit. You just give them anything. You go, there you go, make that work. Unlucky dickhead. No, you just... no, it was always... to be honest, it was normally I would write with them. So it wasn't quite... they'd hire me, but it wasn't like I would send stuff in. That happened very occasionally towards the end of when I used to write stuff, and that I didn't really enjoy that much. But I like when you write with a comedian, they say... Look, I'm doing this or something like that. I'm going on telly and doing this. I need to work up this set where you just come and sit with me. And then you just kind of like both go through these ideas and just like essentially just punch up ideas. And that's really fun because that's just like two mates chatting and then trying to be funny.
Well, I was going to say, were they often friends before?
Yeah.
That's quite an odd thing, I think, to say, you're my friend, but can I pay you to come and make me funnier? That's
sometimes they said, can you come and make me funnier? And I said, you must pay me.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes it was that way around. But, I got a couple of free Nando's out of it. Nando's. A delicious meal.
Any time you want to add any of them in, please do.
Yeah.
You should be paying me for making you funnier, so I think. Because that happens a lot.
Yeah, maybe. We can think about that in the new year.
Yeah. What, next year?
Yeah, what a time to say a phrase like that. Yeah, that's such a funny phrase to use. Yeah, why don't we discuss that in the new year? January the 1st.
Ian?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to ask?
To do a question, I think.
Yeah.
That's really quiet.
It doesn't matter. It's
Anyway.
It doesn't matter if they can't hear it.
Lovely. It was very lovely.
Thank you. So, are there any new jokes, or are we all just recycling the same old material?
Yeah,
Philosophy. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. What, in the sense that there's only a few joke structures and we're all just doing them again?
Yes.
Yeah, I also think there's only like 7 people. I genuinely think there's like 7. When you look at people, you know how you see someone and they look like someone you know, they look really like someone you know. That's because there's 7 people and they're all just slightly different. They've all made different choices. And the same with jokes. There's 7 jokes and just say them again with different words. Put Cambie Down Liquor in it and people will find it funny.
Who are the 7 people?
7 people. My mum, my dad, me, and all my siblings. No, I just mean like there's more than 7, obviously, but there's like
a type.
There's a few molds of people, and then like you could fit. I think you could categorize it quite easily.
I think you could keep slimming down and be like, they're a bit that.
Yeah. In appearance and in personality, everyone's basically the same, aren't they? And that's not an answer to your question at all.
I don't think it answers the question.
But there's, I don't know. I think it's a mix because there's loads of people who do really original things, and it's also just like it depends how you're defining joke. But there's definitely structures, and people are repeating these structures a lot. And then there's like, it's not even really a joke, but there's tics that elevate things, like the old finishing a sentence and interrupting it with an just before, or like a what else just at the end.
What do you mean by that?
So there's loads of famous comics who do it. Loads of comics do it where you're just like, just to indicate the sentence has ended, and then the laugh comes from, oh, that was it, that's the joke. You just sort of say the sentence and then just go, and then just like move on immediately. And loads of people do that, and you get
I've
big
noticed
laughs.
that.
You get big laughs out of that. Yeah.
By the way, listening audience, and you, if you're wondering what that sound is, that is a train. Don't panic. I think it happens every 5 minutes or something ridiculous. They didn't tell us that when we booked the venue. Sorry.
It's fine.
So does that answer your question, Ian?
Yeah, why not?
Do you want to play it out? That sort of wraps that section.
Is
up.
that an original composition?
Yeah.
Original, yeah.
Nice. But just to reiterate my point, it sounds like John Legend, doesn't it?
We've heard
There's
that
only
before.
7 songs. There are
Right.
only 7
Now,
songs.
I'm interested in this, Ian, because we've heard this before. What the hell's going on?
Well,
now,
someone
2
else-
people have said this independently.
Someone else said it sounded like
Who said it?
Gershwin.
Who
so-
else said it? Another comedian we had.
I don't know.
Right, and that illustrates the
Was
point
it
as
Alfie
well,
Brown?
doesn't it?
I think it was
Another
Alfie-
comedian said exactly what I
think
just
it was
said.
Alfie Brown. So what are you going to do about this?
Well, it sounds like a lot of people. So, it's
what,
not just John
We're
Legend.
just leaving it, are we?
I think it's fine.
All right. Well, what do you think?
I like John Legend.
All right. What do you
That's
think?
good.
Well, keep it then. I mean, I'd be happy to mix it up, but if we should take a general consensus of the room, I think.
What are we asking?
Do you want a different?
Do you want
piano?
different music
I
every
can't
time
be
Ian
bothered.
plays the thing? No, it doesn't matter what you want. These people
Something
have paid. Well, do you want different music every time Ian plays the thing?
Great.
Then you'll play different music.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll find out in about 15 minutes what that's going to be.
All right.
You've been described as the best comedian on Twitter.
Okay. Who's described
who?
me as that?
I can't remember my sources.
What a shit anecdote. What a shit.
I've described you as the best comedian on Twitter.
Thank you very much.
You put a lot of content out. Is that a conscious thing you do, or are you just always on it?
Well, I'm not tweeting unconsciously.
That's what I thought. Stupid question.
So I'm conscious while I tweet. Yeah, I'm aware that I'm tweeting.
But do you think?
What is the question?
Do you think? I better put another tweet out, or do you just like?
You're right.
Can you not help yourself?
Okay, I get it. So what you're saying
gets
is
it.
what?
I
Yeah.
don't get what the hell you're talking about. But
So what you're saying is, am I a content prostitute, or am I addicted to tweets?
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Rhys.
Okay. Bit of both. It depends on the day. No, I used to be honest, I'm quite shit at Twitter now, but I used to, Twitter used to be really fun and used to be really good, and it was just everyone posting one-liners all the time, and I loved that, and it actually really helped me become a better writer from doing that, and it just makes you just be economical with words, because it was 140 characters, and everyone would do that. And also, you used to be able to gain followers, so you'd get retweets, and people would know you as, oh, this person's feed is just one-liners, and they would follow you. And then that dropped off when Twitter became a big argument and stopped being fun at all, and just started being everyone accusing of each other of stuff. And now, I don't really enjoy it. And if I'm doing a tweet, to be honest, I just tweet about football at the moment and plugging stuff. So I don't enjoy it as much as I did. And also, it's just like, no one really follows you from jokes anymore. They just follow you from if you've done stuff.
yeah.
I find. But what was the question? Am I a?
I didn't know what the question
back
was
in the day.
originally.
Yeah, no, sorry. Back in the day, when I was doing those one-liners, I was like conscious of like I need to do at least 3 a day. I need to do 3 jokes a day. I need to keep this ticking over. And now I couldn't care less.
To build followers was the original idea.
Yeah. Well, also just as it was to build followers, but also it was just like, no, I want to have written 3 original jokes every day, and I'll just put them up there. I don't just write them and put them in a file or whatever. I was like, and then I will put them there. And I used to write, when it would come to writing a new show, I used to go through my old tweets and just like use it as a starting point.
Yeah.
And they're all really, they're not gags, they're premise lines, a lot of tweets. They're just a funny premise. Because if you go and just say the line on stage, it won't work. But then you have to extrapolate from it and turn it into a routine, is what I found with mine. Because they weren't puns or anything like that. So I used to do that as an exercise to be like, right, I need a new show. You get to the point where you normally be around January when I start working on a new show for Edinburgh, and I would start by going through my tweets and make just like copying and pasting the ones I really like into a document, and then seeing what I can turn into a routine.
And was it based on the ones you found funny, or because I know Sin2V was talking about it, and she said it was based on the number of likes. She put tweets out, and then based on the number of likes or whatever, or retweets or whatever, she'd know that was funnier than others.
No, I don't agree. It definitely. So if there's one that's got 1,000 retweets that's gone big, then you suddenly, even if you thought it was only okay, you would obviously then be like, oh, that must be pretty good.
Yeah.
But other than that, if it's not done well, I would still think, if I thought it was funny, I would still say it, because it's a completely different thing to say on stage.
Yeah. I think that's answered my very vague question.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Do you have another very vague question?
Yes, I've got plenty of very vague questions.
Go on then.
Then on looking through your Twitter and Instagram, the number one reply I saw to you was along the lines of, bring back top 10 football fuck-ups, you posh twat.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
When is it coming back?
Yeah, it's not coming back. It's not coming back.
What is top 10?
Top 10 football fuck-ups, which, by the way, I didn't name.
I think it's a great name.
It's a show. I wanted to call it Rennie's Top 10 Football Fuck-Ups.
Right, sure.
Rennie weren't on board. It was just this YouTube thing I did. There's a YouTube channel called The Football Republic, and I used to just do this show on there where all the information is in the title. I mean, what do you want me to say? I would count down from 10, and I would go through the mishaps in the football world that week, and I would basically just write gags, just jokes. I'd tell these stories of stuff that had happened, and then I would just write jokes about it, and then it would just be a YouTube video that was like 10 minutes.
People seem mortified that it's gone.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of abuse.
I know,
people
yeah.
that are not happy with it.
It's actually, but I think it's actually really just 3 people. It's the same 3 people. They all have these different
Why
accounts.
won't you give these people what they want? They
I
don't want witty sort of,
I know.
considered hours of comedy. They want top 10 football fuck-ups.
I know.
Over and over again. Even the same thing.
It
over
just
and
ran
over
its
again.
course. It had run its course.
So
No one was fucking
There's a
up.
couple of
Whatever.
reasons. There are a couple of reasons it ended that are not very interesting. But the show ran its course, and the producers of the show changed, and it was a bit sort of a mix of that. And it was just like, oh, no longer is this what we started. And suddenly it was all just everything was getting a bit complicated and political, which is just not very interesting to anyone. But it was also the show. I was just a bit like, it was a fucking ball ache, mate. It took so long. It took so long to write every week.
Every week?
I'd do it every week, and they were like
People
12.
fuck up that much a week?
No, that's the problem. Every week I'm trying to get, the corner flag fell over. I'm trying to make that funny for 10 minutes. Yeah, there was loads of times. And then sometimes the week would be like, there'd be like a horrible bit of racism. And they're like, you got to put that in because it's like one of the big stories. It'd be like, how am I going to make this funny? Jesus Christ. So it was a mix of like either horrible stuff or like tragedies. Or
And you
it'll go, oopsie. Yeah, or like nothing and me trying to get blood out of a stone, essentially. There was some really good week. And what was good about it is that when I first started it, people hated it. When I first started doing that show, people despised it. I got so much abuse. People calling me a rat. I mean, I look a bit ratty. People would say, this little rat prick, I hate this prick. People just always having a go at me saying, this is shit, this isn't funny. And then after about 10 weeks of doing it, it became like everyone, if I missed a week, people were like, where's football fuck-ups? What's going on? And we had catchphrases in the show, running jokes.
Oh, great.
There were jokes I did. Yeah, they just like emerged. And that actually emerged. I now think I've realised what a catchphrase is because it emerged entirely out of laziness. So any time I was in need of a punchline, I was like, people seem to like it when I say that. So I would just say the catchphrase again.
Brilliant.
And then people would go, yes, it's our catchphrase. And I was like, oh, right, that's how catchphrases emerge. You just can't be asked to write a new joke because there's only 7 jokes.
Yes. Well, good tying up. So just to sort of confirm to the critics or people that are interested, this has answered them. It's not coming back. Stop asking. Stop.
Yeah,
filling
it's not
Rhys's
coming back. And
Instagram
actually,
with-
I was asked literally last week. I was given a new offer to bring it back for 18 weeks, I think till the end of the season or something.
Yeah.
And
you
I
said no.
I said no. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking?
What?
Well, there's an offer out there somewhere that we start doing that.
100% do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. The money's good.
You can see it's hell.
The
Brilliant.
money's pretty
Who
good, mate.
cares? Like you said, we're the same age as him.
Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
successful.
we've got everything.
We'll do the football fuck-ups thing. I don't watch football. Do you watch football?
I'm the only one who knows about football.
We'll
so.
bring Ian along with a piano. Right? You can be like our writer.
Yep.
but
You won't be able to play that John Legend song, mate. It'll get taken off YouTube if you do.
Not bothered.
No, we don't have Ian on screen. We'll have him backstage writing
Yeah.
someone's
Don't even have to bring him
hit.
along.
No, well, whatever. Yeah, I'll get him writing. We'll get that money.
Yeah.
We'll be famous.
I hope you're prepared to be called rats on the internet because I'm setting up a YouTube account and I'm commenting on every video.
I don't know if I want to do it anymore. I can't take that. Ian.
Yeah.
It seems like a good time for you to.
Okay, so I'm doing something different.
Well, yeah. And
Okay.
you've had 15 minutes to think about it, so don't piss
Uh,
around.
I'm gonna play on Beethoven. So
Ripping off someone else.
look, wait. It goes a bit jazzy at the end.
What do we think, guys?
I
you.
think you've all made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I'm not.
The last one
convinced.
was much better.
Fuck.
Well, go on. You've
What?
made your bed. Go on.
Okay. Do you have any jokes that you cringe at now?
Oh, 100,000. Yeah, almost everything. What cringe for what reason, or just
You're
generally?
just like, what was that? That was rubbish or something like that.
Oh, there's loads that were rubbish.
Mm.
there's some in this show at the moment that are rubbish. I'm working on a new show at the moment. There's some that I like get to in the new stuff and just go, why have I still got that written down? Why is that on the list?
Have you still got it down because it fills a gap in plot or narrative or something?
There's things at the moment that are like placeholders where I know a better version of this joke will someday exist. But then it's like when I come to sit down and write the show, those bits aren't the fun bits. When you're writing is really fun when it's a new idea and you're really pursuing this idea and you want to just like turn it. So often I've got this bit about house viewings being insane and how there's no try before you buy with a house, even though it's the most important decision. All you get to do is look at a house for 10 minutes while you're shown around by a girl who used to work in Tiger, right? I've got this whole routine about house viewings, and it's all about house viewings being mad. And that routine is like 6 out of 10 at the moment. And I know that. And every time I perform it, I go, I really need to punch this up and make this better. But every time I go to sit down and work on it, I think of a new routine entirely. And then I just write that. And then I go and do that somewhere. And then that routine's really fun. And then I get to doing my hour show at the moment. And then I go, God, this fucking house viewing bit. And I just now, so what's happened is now whenever I get to the house viewing bit, I become a different comedian who's like really trying to sell it. Yeah. I'm not really a performer who like properly sells material in the sense of like a lot of like, all these arena filling comics are comics who know how to sell jokes. And I'm not really like that. I'm not good at that. But when it comes to that routine, I am McIntyre, but with terrible B-grade stuff. But I think
that's quite impressive because I always find it disheartening having to perform something that you don't think's funny, or for some reason, like we've done with our play before, we've had to perform something that we know there's a better version, but we can't do it for some reason, and that's irritating.
But to be honest, I've only got myself to blame. Sometimes I've been too busy to work on it, but also just that thing of like I have sat down to work on it and failed to do that.
Yeah,
and part of me thinks, with those sort of bits, I find now, this didn't used to be true, but in the last couple of years, if there's a routine that's doing well but not well enough, it only gets to the next level of being good from me just riffing. Me just performing it and having the skeleton of it and then just improvising is where the actual truly funny stuff, the big laughs emerge. And not like riffing something new every time, but just like riffing on it and then being like, right, that's really funny, I'll say that next time. But that's also like, you know, if you're not in the right frame of mind in a certain gig, then that's not going to happen. It's not going to come out. So there's that is the case. I've done that routine maybe 10 times and it's not happened yet. Just waiting for it to suddenly take off.
Yeah.
So we'll just stop Rhys there and this thrilling interview to sort of talk about what we're up to.
Innit?
Well.
What are we up to?
Yeah, we just finished.
I'll tell you.
King's Head.
Fuck all.
Yeah, well, that, yeah.
Not
Awesome.
entirely fuck
Awesome.
all. We're recording this.
Yes.
We are recording this, yeah.
We're sitting around waiting to be paid by the King's Head Theatre,
Yes.
who are yet to pay us.
Yes.
Please pay us that equity. What's called equity?
Yeah, so, you know, hang tight. We'll keep you posted on what we're doing, but at the moment...
Ryan?
Why haven't they paid us?
I don't know. I'm laughing about it, but I'm fucking furious.
They are a respectable venue and they'll get round to it.
Fuck off, are they?
I'm sure they will.
They realised there was like a big neon light in the way of their like...
Yes.
That happened during our show and it was very annoying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Okay, is there anything else to say? Should we let them get back to their podcast?
Yeah, enjoy.
Back a bit to sort of you getting into comedy. So you started doing open mics and stuff like that, and then you just sort of got through them, you kept doing open mics, and then what sort of happened?
Well, I went to Manchester to go to university, and Manchester's such a good place to start out in comedy because rather than having to do a bunch of open mics, there's just the audience is mostly just other open mic performers.
It's one of the worst things I think in the world.
So you get your feedback is appalling and incorrect because what aspiring comics find funny is very different to what the public find funny, because they're all immoral pricks. So you can get away with insane stuff.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, and so I went to Manchester, and in Manchester there wasn't when I was there anyway an open mic scene. So what it means is instead of doing open mics, your first gigs are short sets on professional bills. And so everyone else on the bill is a full-time comic who's having a great gig. No one's struggling, everyone's smashing it. It means the audience are really up for it. And then you have no choice but to try and raise your game. You've got to try and match that because you're taking up time on this evening. So your 10 minutes has to be sharp and good, and it just makes you better so much quicker. And also, it means you get to watch a professional comedy night. So you get to understand how professional comedy night works and the sort of things the audience like, and you get to do that all the time. So I also, in my third year of university, I lived like 100 metres from the Comedy Store in Manchester, and I just got friendly with the guy who runs it up there. And you'd be surprised how many of the 10-minute open spots on a Saturday night would bottle it and pull out, or just like not turn up. And so he would phone me all the time, Gareth, and say, "So the open spot's not turned up. Do you want to come do 10 minutes?" And so I would just walk down to the Comedy Store all the time and do 10 minutes. And doing that at the Comedy Store, which is like, this is where at that level, that's the sort of places you're aspiring to someday be able to play. It was just like, it's so useful to do that, and even just go back like and do the same set over and over again there, and just like see how it changes without you even realizing that you've intrinsically learnt this thing, like of how to perform this better from just being. And also the lineups, there would always be so many good people on those lineups. But that was really helpful, and that's how I got my first writing jobs, is from being on those bills, and then some comics on those bills saying, "Can you write for me on this show or whatever?"
Mm-hmm. And then after that, you came back to London.
I came back to London, and so I'd had 3 years of gigging then in Manchester on like pro bills and stuff, and I was starting to get bits of paid work in third year. I was starting to get 50 quid here and there to go and do 15, 20 minutes. And so then I came back to Hertfordshire, where I grew up, obviously.
How's the comedy scene in Hertfordshire?
It's pretty special, mate. It's not great, but it's like 25 minutes into London, where I lived. So I was just going to London all the time. But also actually, at that stage, I was going everywhere. So I was like going to Cardiff to do 10 minutes and stuff like that. I was just like going wherever I could to do stage time. And then I moved to London about a year after that. But in the meantime, I had done some Edinburghs. So I did 2 years I lived there. 1 year when I lived there, I did a show called AAA Stand Up, which is a package show in Edinburgh, which is where they essentially... Have you been to see AAA Stand Up? Yeah. What year did you see it? Oh, right.
She said 2016.
2016.
They were in the venue after us in 2016.
Yeah, they were.
Were they? They AAA Stand Up. When I did it, there was 2 shows, an early and a late show, and it ended up having like 5 shows or something all over the place. So it used to just be a pleasant showcase. Essentially what it means is that a production company called Bound and Gagged for AAA Stand Up, they do auditions and they pick their favourite 3 acts and they just make a bill out of it that's on every day in Edinburgh. So it fills an hour slot, and then you have someone compares it, and then 2 acts do 20 minutes. And it's for newish acts who are coming up to just get a full month of gigs under their belt. And also it's meant to be this company saying, look, this is the talent we want to work with in future. And so I did that and basically died on my arse every day. But that's so useful. That month is just like a weird boot camp.
Oh, so you'd already done the auditions?
I did the auditions, yeah, and then I got it.
And then
the auditions were in London, and then I got the auditions, and then No, but those shows are so difficult. Often those shows, when I did it, because it's called AAA Stand-Up, so that it's on the front page of the brochure, right? So that it's 3 A's. So when you're looking through the brochure, you go, oh, right, I'll go see that. But the Edinburgh Fringe is made up of such interesting, exciting shows that, I mean, if you're just looking at the front page of the brochure and then going to that show, there's so many things to watch. No offence. When we did it, most nights, it was populated by office parties. Because we were on at 7 o'clock, and it was a 50-seater, and often at least 30 of the audience would be one big group, like a birthday or an office party, just like bit of stand-up, then start your night. But we were so new, we were doing 20 minutes, and we all had 20 minutes. It wasn't like, oh, okay, I'll do this material tonight. It's like, no, I have to do all of my jokes. But I left that. By week 2, I was so bored of how it was going that I was just like, I'll just try anything. So I was just trying loads of ideas. And I left that being a bit like, Jesus. But then you realise, you get back to London, or you get back into a proper gig, and you go, oh, right, I'm a much better comedian because of being a terrible comedian for a month. Yeah.
So there is a distinction with audiences. Do you think there's a distinction between audiences? I mean, I think we often blame the audience if a show's not going well, because we've done it enough times to know that the show sometimes goes well, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a mix. It's that anyone who says never blame the audience is an idiot, and anyone who says always blame the audience is an idiot. I mean, like, obviously it massively depends on the situation. Sometimes a gig is unplayable, but sometimes it is your fault, and that's why you need to... I don't do this. I don't practice what I preach, but you should record all your gigs and listen to them as much as possible, because then you can go, oh, right, I'm delivering this like shit. Yeah. And I need to change it.
What I found from recorded gigs is that they're either better or worse than you thought they were. So if you thought it went really well, it often went fine. Yeah. And if you thought it was crap, it was often quite good.
Yeah.
That's what I've always found with that. It's never exactly what you think. So I think you're right. It's a really interesting tool it's a really useful thing to listen back to stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's
Absolutely. It's
useful.
like an exam. When you leave an exam and go, I did amazingly, and then you got a D. When you leave and go, that was rubbish, and then it always ends up being really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not still doing exams, so
Is the philosophy of that just always going in thinking it's going to be shit, always come out thinking it's been shit, and then your life will be fantastic?
Doesn't sound like a great life.
No,
Did you want to answer that?
No, not entirely. But that is that's one way to do it. Yeah, I do always. Yeah, I do have a massive defense mechanism with a lot of gigs where I always think, sometimes with gigs I was just like, I'm saying to myself, it doesn't matter. I don't care if this goes badly. But I obviously massively do, or I wouldn't have to say this to myself.
Do you see it as combative? Do you see yourself as having to win the audience over?
No, God no.
No.
They've come to a comedy show. They want to see comedy. So no, they just want you to be funny, and you don't have to. They're not there. They're not there to go, I hope this is shit, and then you've got to change their mind. They have come for a night out. They hope it's good, and then you have to deliver. And it's just, do you match what their idea of good is? Essentially.
Do you have specific have you done different corporate events?
Yeah.
When
did one on Friday. I did a just to contextualise that routine I mentioned earlier about house viewings. On Friday, I hosted an awards for 600 estate agents. Do you think they A, liked that routine, or B, were absolutely fucking furious?
Well, they must know they're slimy.
It
right?
was, well, to be honest, there's elements.
They are, aren't they?
There were aspects of the routine that really landed and aspects that they were just like, I cannot believe you're saying this to us.
Oh, man, I wonder how
But
many of them worked at Tiger before.
Yeah, Tiger.
That's why they were annoyed.
I know, yeah. But to be fair, no, they look like quite Tiger-y. They were a Tiger bunch. I can't remember what they were called. Kinley? Is that a estate agent?
McKinley, yeah.
McKinley, yeah.
I
No, it's
recognise
not
that.
McKinley.
Oh, right.
Kinley Folked and... Yeah, Kinley Folked. Are they your estate agents? But have you used them before? Are they good estate agents? They've got very high Google rating.
No. Say yes if this is being recorded, and we.
They've got 5 stars on Google. They were actually They were actually lovely. They were. Are
you backtracking now?
Yes, because I don't think I've been paid yet. Everyone running it was so lovely, and like the MD and stuff was great. And then I was just like, but the crowd, I was just like, fucking hell. I was just doing material about them to them. Because with corporate events, you have to make it relevant. Because if you just go off and go, here's a bit about me, which is what stand-up is essentially, they're just like, why are you here?
Yeah.
So you have to go, essentially you do a funny speech about the event.
Yeah.
But because I didn't write it bespoke for the event, it was just material on that topic, it was quite anti. Brilliant. So it was a bit awkward.
Do you get any requests going into it? Do they go like, try to fuck with Gavin from accounts? Do you get things like that?
Yeah, sometimes. Not really with corporates. Corporates are the opposite. Corporates are very, don't swear, don't say anything controversial.
Nothing about Gavin in account.
And don't, we all know Gavin's a wrong and don't bring it up. But you get that with comedy clubs sometimes where someone will come up to you in the break or whatever. It's more if you're hosting, and I quite rarely do that. But compares always, if it's one of those comedy clubs where there's not a backstage and it's just at the back of the room, often like groups of lads will come over and go, it's so-and-so's birthday, can you call him a prick? Or whatever.
Do you just do it?
No, no, it's a recipe for disaster if you do it. So the compere will always go, yeah. And then they'll disappear and they just won't do it all the time.
Clever.
Because you can't make the night about them, because if they're already rowdy and that sort of thing, then they're just going to steamroll the whole evening and ruin it. Yeah. But sometimes it is, if they haven't requested it, I'll call them a prick. That's the irony, I suppose.
Ian?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
I had 15 minutes to think of that. I don't know.
I feel like more thought had gone into that.
Whatever.
Well, I'm put on the spot, so
yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
So, who's made a better impression on you, George or Adam?
What is this shit? This keeps happening. We've had the who's funnier.
Please no, I'm not getting annoyed.
Well, I mean, bit of a no-brainer, right?
Is it, audience?
Fuck off.
Which one of these men took a Rennie off me, not knowing what it was, and then just let it dissolve in their mouth? I mean, what kind of impression's that?
I wanted to do good. I wanted to do well on the podcast. I didn't want to be distracted by my
Heartburn.
Can I assume the answer's me then?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, why not?
All right, Adam.
Fucking rat.
Do you want to play your question out?
Okay.
Fair play.
Why did you ask that charged question, Ian?
I don't know.
You
It's
just wanted
just,
to spice it
there's,
up a bit.
there's a lot of competition between you two. So.
Is there?
Mm.
I noticed that. Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Who do you consider to be the main one?
I'd assume me.
Yeah.
Whose name is first when you list your double act?
It is him, but I don't think that matters. What do you...
I'm kind of the underfoot figure that gets picked.
Underfoot?
Yeah, underfoot figure.
Who plays the straight man in your double act?
More Adam, probably.
I don't know. We should know this.
It is more Adam.
If you don't know, I'm going to guess it's both of you.
And it's rubbish.
Yeah, it's...
I think we usually cast other people
Yeah.
as like straight men, so we can both be funny.
Oh, right.
Ian,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think...
Yeah, I guess.
It is you, isn't it? Actually, it is Ian.
Well, I'm not really doing anything, so it's like, am I the straight
Very
man?
straight.
Ian normally plays the music for our shows, obviously.
Yeah.
But we broke the violin at the end of Edinburgh, so he just sat on the stage for about
Oh,
a
right.
week.
What,
I did a bit
silent?
of acting.
Ian's
In
always in
silence.
everything we do.
I did a bit of acting, so
Yeah, he did.
he's
Good
exaggerating.
Right,
A bit of acting.
guys, you've been sitting there very nicely up until now. We're going to pass it over to you for questions. If you have a question, can you put your hand up, please? Thank you. And we're going to bring you over a mic. It's just so that the listening public can hear you. Don't worry. Adam's coming over with that now.
Where's the question?
Over there. Yeah.
Hiya, am I
Hello.
supposed to introduce myself or something?
No.
No, okay.
But yeah,
It's not
you can if you want.
No, it's
No, I
alright.
don't want you to.
Okay, don't. No, you must not.
Okay, so now when you were talking about writing for other people jokes, that gave me an idea because I'm from Austria. And since about 2 years, people keep telling me that I will soon have to go back where I came from. And if you can give me some like really funny answers to that, that would be really, really helpful.
This is
To
what
survive.
it's for. This is brilliant.
Please.
Right, I'm going to say what I said when people used to say
Fantastic.
that to me, which is, what's your budget?
Okay.
She said okay, but she's not actually said a budget.
Yeah. I can't be, I can't be working for free, so... yeah. Oh, they'll do it for free. I'm sure they'll do it for free.
That's all right.
So
I'm not the
people
funny.
what?
I'm
What
not the
do you
funny one.
You want a response to when people say,
Go back to where you came from.
when people tell you you might have to go back to where you came
So
from?
what for example happened is like at the checkout or at the bus stop or at the bar, somebody hears me talking, they can tell that I've got a foreign accent. They're like, "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, from Austria." "Oh, really? Well, now we've voted that you have to leave, so when are you going to leave?" That kind of stuff.
Jesus Christ, that is
And I'm always
horrible.
like, "Okay, I'm going now. Bye."
What
and
you should do is just go, shit, you're right, drop your bags and sprint off. Shit, look at your watch and just leg it out of there as quickly as
That
possible.
is a good joke, but I think it doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't help
It doesn't
you.
help.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, I suppose. Yeah,
Then you'd have to
that's-
go back and get your bags.
Yeah.
So
I'm very sorry that happens to you. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to. I think I'm going to struggle at the
silly
moment
charged.
to make that funny.
Through fear, we're going to move on. But thank you for your question, and I hope that stops happening. Try the drop in the bags thing. I mean, I don't know.
But
Might
I mean,
be
I did vote for it. So if you could, no, I'm joking. Hello.
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 Okay, so present company accepted.
Oh, all right.
Who do you admire in your peer group?
As if he'd say us.
I know,
You don't
but
need to
that's
bother
present
saying
company
present
accepted.
company exclusion.
In my peer group,
Yeah.
I suppose it depends who that is. Admires. I'll answer find funny. there's lots of things not to admire about these people. I think Adam Hess. Have you heard of him?
No.
Adam Hess is a really funny comedian. I used to live with him. He's so funny, and a guy called Sean McLaughlin is very, very underrated. In terms of like people that everyone's likely to be aware of, obviously big fan of James Acaster, like the rest of the country. Ed Gamble's great. I love working with Ed. I think Ed's really
Yeah.
funny, but I love working with Ed. We've got a good chemistry, and also Ed's always felt like and looks like an older brother to me. So he's always been really helpful and a bit of a
Yeah,
mentor.
you look similar. We saw him for the first time at Edinburgh, actually.
And did you like it?
Yeah.
Good
I'm going
job
to
that you said
show-
yes. Or that is
Yeah.
in recorded history.
So that was the right answer.
Yeah. Ed's great, and he's a really hard-working, funny, and he just knows his voice and knows his style. He's an amazing writer. Ed is one of those comics. He's just the opposite. He does comedy in the opposite way to me, which is why I admire him, because he has an idea and he'll go on stage with an idea and it'll be just a 2-minute bit. And for me, I go on stage and routines get shorter, and then they maybe grow a little bit from getting confident and ad-libbing. But I just go on with every idea I've got on a topic, and then it gradually just goes, that shit. Mm-hmm. This is the routine. Ed will just get an idea, find a little kernel of humour in it, and then he just tags and tags and tags it until it's 20 minutes. So did you see him this year just gone in Edinburgh?
No, in 2016 as well, actually.
2016,
but we're going to see him
yeah.
in March at his London show. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got this routine
Yeah.
about getting a massage. Essentially, the story is just he got a massage and farted. Right. It's like a 15-minute routine that is funny every sentence. It's a big, big laugh.
But blokes are good at doing that. Blokes are good at doing that, making farting sound funny for 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not something I've been able to do yet, but it's just a testament to his writing ability that he can just turn like the smallest of ideas into these long things, and I think he's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Yeah. There you go. That's an answer to that. That's an answer to that question.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, I just have a question about when you start to become a comedian, and when you're not sure if you're funny enough, and you have that fear. What is your story of the most funniest and I guess embarrassing moment on the stage when you started?
Oh,
it's normally a question you ask. You've outsourced it to the audience.
I left that one out.
It's interesting because you have to get over it and you still
Yeah.
have to make it funny. So
I had really early on. There are these things called gong shows, and that is where you have to go on, and a couple of members. Have you heard of a gong show before?
No.
A couple of members of the audience are given these cards or something, and you have to go on stage, and the idea is you've got to last 5 minutes. You've got to be funny for 5 minutes. And then if you get to the end of 5 minutes, they play a gong, and you win the gong, and you go off, and you're in the final or whatever, in the clap-off at the end to see who wins the night. But these people with cards, if they think you're shit, can at any time raise a card, and if 3 cards get raised, you get gonged off, and you have to leave the stage, and you see how long you lasted. Of course, they don't play a gong at the end. What am I talking about? They just gong you off if you're shit, basically. And I did this gong show, and it was one of my first ever gigs in London, and I lasted the 5 minutes. But part of my set was that I got to about 4 minutes and said, right, I don't really have anything else to say because I didn't expect to last this long. So anyone got any games we can play? And I was just riffing on that. But the prize of winning this gong show was you got to come back next week and headline with 20 minutes, right? So I came back the next week. And also, not only was I I had no material. So I'd spent the week just writing ideas. So 15 minutes of this set was going to be brand new, and I'm a brand new comic anyway, so I do not have the skill to do this. I've never been on stage for longer than about 5 minutes before. I've got to headline this gig. Everyone else on the bill doing this gong show is more experienced than me, and they've had it. It's been quite a weird gig anyway, but a lot of these comics are people I was aware of, and I was I'd seen their stuff on YouTube or whatever and was a fan of them, and they were going on and coming off being oh, they're a bit weird, and I was thinking, but I was the arrogance of being 17 and being told you can headline the next week. I was like, well, I'm the fucking headliner, so this is going to be fine. I went on stage. My first mistake, I opened with the word sup. I went on stage and I went sup like an absolute prick, and then I tanked beyond belief. It was insane the level to which I was dying, and I was getting heckled. Someone heckled me with what you're going to do on your gap year.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, good stuff. But I had also that week seen Stuart Lee for the first ever time. And Stuart Lee, I saw him do the routine where he's lying on the floor for ages because he's doing about Only Fools and Horses when he falls through the bar. And then Stuart Lee rolls around on the floor for ages going, Stu, this is terrible, Stu. Why are you doing it? It's the funniest thing ever, Stu, whatever. And so I thought the joke, at 17, I thought the joke of that routine was just a man is on the floor. So about 15 minutes into this set, I just got on the floor and lay down and just started just going, oh, God, this is awful. I'm doing shit. And it's honestly the most embarrassing thing in the world. I came off stage thinking, I hope I lasted that 20 minutes, because it was also they were paying me 20 quid or something. And I came off, and they were filming it. And I came off stage, and I said, did I do 20 minutes? And the lady running the gig said, you did 43 minutes. I had been on stage, dying on my ass needlessly for 43
they didn't
minutes.
Flush a light.
The most embarrassing experiment in
you off?
history. Genuinely, it's amazing I ever did comedy again, because it was so humiliating and awful. And that was so early
Why
on.
didn't they flush you off or anything?
I don't know. Maybe they did, and I was just so like resilient.
And
it
we'll
was
post a
terrible.
link to
Thank
that
you for
below
asking me and making me relive that moment. Thank
We'll
you.
post a link to that video below in the, in the description.
God.
Yes, at the front here, Adam. Don't run, Adam.
Thanks. This is a bit of a deep question, and everyone else's
cool.
questions have been quite funny.
Oh, that's good.
Do you think social media and the fact that people get more offended by things has changed the way that you do comedy?
Yeah, I think it has. I think both schools of thought on this are a bit weird. You got like groups of people, usually older comics, older really famous comics, and usually in America, saying, "Oh, it's bullshit. You can't say anything anymore."
Yeah.
And then there's the other school of thought, which is that like, no, this is all really good. Every aspect of it is really good. Wokeness and stuff like that is really good. And wokeness is good. And it is also good for comedy because it makes you... There's so many of those jokes that you now can't say anymore are just lazy and shit anyway.
Yeah.
But definitely there are moments where people hear buzzwords and think you're saying something offensive when you're not. You're just talking about a topic. But that is much rarer than... It's reported on so much on these like comedy news websites that it seems like... To comedians, it seems like it's happening constantly, but it just isn't. And most comedy audiences don't really know what you're talking about anyway. It's just an internet thing.
Yeah, I think...
At the moment, but it will grow and it should grow because it's just about people's rights, essentially. But yeah, there's... It's good because it stops lazy writing, essentially, and it makes you... It's definitely made me think twice before when I've gone, oh, that'll get a good laugh. And then you go, yeah, but what are they actually laughing at? Because the subtext of that is you're saying that something is just bad. So you suddenly just go, right, okay, well then don't do it. Restructure that. So it's a positive, I think.
I don't know if this happened. I don't think there's the same thing happening in comedy clubs. I think comedy clubs still seem to me to be a place where free speech and all that stuff is. I mean, you can say what you want, basically, right?
Yeah, but definitely in comedy clubs, there's still really lazy shit that gets a big laugh.
God, yeah.
There's stuff like you see compares in comedy clubs just like pointing at two men sat next to each other in the front row, imply they're gay and get a huge laugh.
Yeah.
And just like say a Brokeback Mountain joke if you're wearing a check shirt and just get a massive laugh. And it's just like, what the fuck was that? I mean, it's like, it makes me... If someone does that and then I have to go on, I just go, well, what is this crowd if they're interested in that? But you go, it's not their fault. It's this compare's fault because it's all about rhythm and just like confidence anyway. So, but yeah, so it's good that this stuff's happening so that hopefully that will get weeded out eventually. But it's not made it to comedy clubs as such yet. The Edinburgh Fringe and stuff is pretty good for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And Vault Festival.
Yeah.
Which is where we are now.
And there's also the fact that like if any comedian does something wrong, the whole internet seems to know. Like as obviously since I use social media quite a lot, there will be people I've never heard of before, and then suddenly they do something bad, and it's just completely blown out of proportion. So is that also a contributing factor?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. It depends on the sort of thing, but yeah, there's stuff like for me, the thing I'm not as keen on is the digging up of past tweets and stuff like that, and just like trying to find anything to go, this person is now a villain because they once tweeted this. I mean, there's things that you should have to answer for, but it's just like nuance has exited the debate in that sort of thing with Twitter because everything's just about sharing, and also because there's so few characters and all that sort of stuff, you just have to convey your point so quickly that it's a bit frustrating. I don't think that hasn't affected my job. It's not made me think twice really to go, what if everyone suddenly picks up on this on Twitter and then I'm vilified because I haven't had any thoughts that are that horrible.
I don't know how much it's changing individual comedians, because I think that comedians who are interested in political correctness and trying to subvert that anyway will carry on doing that, and the audiences will still like it. So I don't think that's gonna. I don't think individual comedians are going to change, but perhaps as a whole, comedy.
And also, audiences are quite smart, and audiences get context in the room. They understand.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I say audiences tend to understand where you're coming from in the room, and then it's when stuff is just written down and reported on that you go, well, that in writing is very different to that with comic timing and being said in a certain way off the back of something else that is a different thing. But so yeah, that aspect of Twitter and stuff is shit, but actually in reality, most people don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. If you mention it, people don't know what you're referring to.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware we've got to wrap up fairly soon. Are there any more questions? Burning questions? Excellent. Great. Well, can we have a last round of applause, please, for Rhys James?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming.
I really enjoyed that one.
Right, well, I was going to start that professionally, and you fucked it.
I did start
again.
professionally.
No, you didn't. You did a little voice.
Oh, I thought it was you talking.
That was Rhys James, genuine guy. If you'd like to,
Fascinating.
If you'd like to hear more about what Rhys James is up to, you can go to rhysjames.co.uk, or you can search at Rhys James on Twitter, and you'll see a lot of what he's up to on there.
Yeah. What are you implying?
I
You implied the way you said that implied that
he's up
he was
to
up to something nefarious. Yeah.
No.
Oh, you can see a lot of what he's up to on there.
Yeah,
like
I regret.
something.
Yeah, I regret the way I said that.
I regret doing that voice as well. We have a lot to regret, I think.
Yeah.
Enjoy. No. Thank you for listening. Next one in 2 weeks' time.
See you then.
And in the words of the head Nazi, isn't it? Or whatever he said. I can't remember what I did now in the show.
They won't know. Some of them.
Give me your fucking bread.
Bye.
Bye.